Good afternoon, fellow newbies. Gyle here, and welcome to another edition of Bootcamp. It has been a while since I've done one of these. I think I only did about the first two, and then I had a bit of a break. But thanks to Washi, he suggested that I do one on transports, which I think is a pretty good idea because there's lots of misconceptions amongst the newbie community about how these suckers work. Not with the basic mechanics, everybody's pretty familiar about how transport works, the same in all generic RTSs. But things like the ferry function, and also most certainly the Ghetto gunship, which is a phenomenal piece of kit if used correctly. It's something that newbies tend to just avoid because they're not perhaps sure about how it works. But anyway, you can see I've set up a small game here against an easy computer on four corners. I'm up here, I've got a little pre-built base at the top left, and then down here we've got the AI computer at the bottom right. You can see I've had to do a bit of harassment to slow him up so I could actually get this working. But anyway, I've chosen UEF because of course they have the strongest types of Ghetto gunships, but I will get onto that in just a second. Let's go into the fundamentals of transporting and ferrying. First of all, you can see I've got a bunch of the C6 couriers up here and a group of mech marines which is getting larger by the moment. We're all familiar with how the basics work. If I click and drag on a few of those and select transport, it'll give me the transport is full message because there's more than 6 there, and then they'll trundle off to the transport, or the transport will move to them if it's closer, and I can then move around the map, and there they go. And then if I want to set them down, of course I drop the thing, hotkey U, if it's default still on your client, and off they go. And of course you'll immediately see the ferry icon, and this is the bit that most people, when they're new to the game, just tend to avoid it because it does mean you actually have to sit down and give it a go, and it's not something that's instinctively obvious because, like I say, it's not something that's used in other games very much. If you want to set up a ferry, it's a nice way of moving large groups of units around the battlefield using transports, and if you've got more units than you have space for on your current transports, as I suspect we definitely do here, this is how it would generally work. You click on a transport, you then click the ferry function and where you want to go, say down here to this bottom left hand island, and you can see there's a little beacon underneath where the transport currently is, and it's so very simple. If I want to get a group of units down there that's larger than the amount that that single transport can carry, I will then just right click on the beacon. You can see the beacon stays there, it doesn't follow the transport or anything, and they run to fill that transport up, and the transport will then go on his merry way. Off he goes down there. If we speed it up a little bit, you can see he'll head on down there, drop off those mech marines. Eventually, we should have done it on the beach, and come back for the rest. And what's great about this function is that will go continuously until the amount of units you've assigned it, and that won't go either once that's completed. You can just assign more at any time by adding them to go in as well. But what's really great about this is that you can do it continuously with large groups of transports. So if I go here and do another one down here on the edge, see they all kind of rally. It'll put the beacon somewhere kind of in the middle of the group of units, and then we'll select say half of the mech marines and go go go. And it's a really quick, easy way to get stuff done. You can see they'll all just automatically go and fill up a transport. That's a much quicker way of doing things as well than individually filling up transports and manually sort of targeting them. It's just a quick and easy way to command your units, and they'll drop all those off at the current location and come back for them, which is very nice indeed. So we'll just get all of those going because I'd like to show you something. What's really nice as well, if we nick just one of these transports off that, you can cancel at any time by moving one transport out of the way. Now if we say get this transport here, make a new beacon, and say we'll take them up here this time for a little bit more space, so that will go up there. Oh, what are you doing? What you doing? Come back, come back, come back, come back. Cancel that. So send this guy up here. You see there's his beacon apply, and what's really great about this is you can select those factories that are currently producing mech marines and just assign the factories to the waypoint, and they will automatically go as those mech marines come off to fill up that transport, and that transport will hop over to that island, so you can literally assign reinforcement groups to just go and fill up a target location with your units. It's so very, very handy indeed. And there you go. You see they go off and fill it up, and that will just continue. And then these guys will just wait at this rally point until the transport returns, and they'll just continue to do so. And you can see that groups and groups of transports heading out on that previous location, just filling up this bottom island now, and it's just a very handy way of doing things, basically. So that's ferrying. It's not a particularly difficult concept to grasp, but if you don't use it, I suspect you probably will in the near future, because you can see just how useful it is. Now, on to Ghetto gunships. What is a Ghetto gunship in short? Well, basically, fundamentals for all three of the original races, not Seraphim, because unfortunately they don't have light assault bots. But if you happen to have a race that has either, obviously, Aeon, Cybran, or UEF, happen to have light assault bots, you can fill up any of your transports with mech marines, or sorry, with your light assault bot equivalent, whatever you're using, and they can actually fire down. You've probably seen the pros do this in a number of different games. They can fill up. What is that carrying? Why is that full? Something very peculiar going on with that transport. So let's just use one of these. You've probably seen pros do it quite a lot. It's a really cost-effective way to get a lot of damage in the air early. The thing is, you can't actually direct fire with a Ghetto gunship, but these little guys will shoot out of their transport, and you as I say, you can't direct fire on it, but you hover around the area. You can see there he goes. It's a great way of hovering around the battlefield, taking out mass points, taking out engineers. Of course, being transport's very vulnerable to air attacks, so you want to kind of boost your air efficiency as much as possible before you launch this attack. Try and get air control off your opponent. Make sure you can hold on to it, because the minute this goes on, your opponent's going to be scrambling interceptors to shoot it down. Either that, or it'll be ferrying air-to-ground mobile flak to the area, and that's something that can really ruin your day. But of course, when you get incoming fire, either from enemy interceptors or mobile AA, you simply drop the troops down, and you've then got 6 mech marines or whatever your equivalent on the ground to go off and continue terrorizing. And that's what makes these guys so very dangerous. And you can really imagine how groups of these things could be incredibly dangerous. I'll just show you the sort of thing I mean. We'll fill up a few of these suckers. To give you an idea of the sort of damage we're talking here, with one of these transports full of mech marines. That one isn't full, but we'll get on that one and that one. With one of these transports full of mech marines, you're putting out 139.98 DPS for the cost of 330 mass. And when I say that, that's the cost of the mech marines on board and the transport. So, and to put that in context, if you're talking about Tech 2, if you're talking about, say, Stingers, the UEF T2 gunship, that costs 240 mass and only puts out 66 DPS per gunship. So basically, for 72% of the cost of this Ghetto gunship in terms of mass, obviously energy costs vary, but I'm focusing on the mass here, for 72% of the cost of creating this transport and filling it with mech marines, you get less than half the damage by switching Stingers. And of course, also you've had to tech up to get T2 by getting the Stingers, so it's, you know, a massive early game advantage, and this is why they're so useful. It's incredibly cost effective, really is. And you can imagine when that goes up even more. Say you're looking at the T2 transport, that actually takes 14 mech marines, which can be very deadly indeed. You're looking at 326 DPS for 790 mass. You can consider that to, say, a Percival as a benchmark. Percival's 400 DPS for 1280 mass, and once again, that's a Tech 3 thing. So obviously it's a slightly different thing when you're looking at air and ground units, but you get an idea. You get the idea how awesome that this can be when utilized correctly. Obviously your opponent's going to see these and freak out and immediately go air spam as heavy as he possibly can, but just gives you a lot of mobility on the battlefield. It's forgiving. If you lose out, you can drop them on the ground, and it's a lot of fun as well. And it's that look on your opponent's face as well when you've called him out like that. And we'll get on to a little bit of a short replay of this kind of thing in action in just a second. But something that someone brought my attention to recently, and I had no idea, is the coolest thing. I don't know how it eluded me or why, but apparently the Stinger, that's the UEF T2 gunship, has a docking clamp. So you can put frickin' units on it. How cool is that? So you can add a mech marine, and I think it's something like, what is it, 66 damage or something on a Stinger, and you add another 23 damage of a mech marine. That's quite a significant increase. And you can also put anything else on them as well. You can put T2 units on there, so you can carry flak with you. So you can fly to an area, drop your flak, and afford yourself some protection against maybe any T1 inties that come to try and kill you. You can see the Stinger firing away there with his mech marine on board. How cool is that? Very cool. I like it anyway. I think that's pretty cool. So that's the crux of it. It's you can see the advantages of having this kind of play on board. It's a seriously useful piece of kit to have, and if I pause this up, you can see a little bit of this in action. And this is going to be from the Imber Cup 2, and this is the grand final, Armageddon versus Luzon. You can see Armageddon right here. He's approaching with his ACU, and he's coming kind of towards the middle. Luzon is on the right hand side in his usual teal. In a moment he's going to start, you can see he's got this kind of stream of units coming across from the right. It's going to make contact with Armageddon, and when these groups of units come in, Luzon's going to realize the position, realize he's quite far away from his home base, or at least far enough to consider the snipe, and he should immediately, or more or less immediately, start producing mech marines out here. You can see there it goes. So that line of factories switched to mech marines. You can see the air factory there has started to produce T2 transports. There it goes. And he's going to fill those up. So remember, that's 326 damage, plus the additional 10 damage, 10 DPS that the transport itself does, so 336 damage. It's quite a hunk of those. You get a few of those together with some air control. It's a tough thing to deal with. You can see Luzon's been spamming out lots of inties. He needs to get coverage up in the air, as I said before, to protect these transports, because transports aren't particularly sturdy things, even though the UEF obviously and the Seraphim have the most sturdy T2 transports. The T1s are all the same across the board. Of course, the Seraphim can't actually do the Ghetto gunship, and once he's cleared a bit of a path, he just homes more or less straight in. He's a bit concerned about 2 extra reinforcing interceptors coming to try and work, but it's not enough. Home straight in on the commander. Armageddon says, oh my god, he knows he's beaten. A third one comes in as well. Just look how quickly they take down the comm. No problem. Obviously it's a lot easier to do on larger maps. It's not such an easy thing on small maps, but what that allows you to do is, say you've lost the land game, but you have a route through to someone's commander. That's a really nice way of still grabbing a win when effectively you've lost the game. That's one of the things I love about Supreme Commander, and the way, you know, it is just all or nothing. If you can find a way to your opponent's comm, even if you've lost map control and the game looks like it's going down the pan, you're still in with a chance of winning. But anyway, I hope that kind of makes a few things clearer, guys. If you'd like to see some other things, please do write in the comments section below. If you're a newbie and there's something you don't understand about the game, you'd like to see another one of these bootcamp videos regarding a different topic, please just give me a shout, as I say, in the comment section. But until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.